In part 1 of HTML, we studied two kinds of lists: ordered list and unordered list. Now it's the time to discuss the nested and definition list. First, the definition list. The definition list consists of series of terms and their definitions. In the example in front of us, we have three terms and their respective definitions. HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are terms, and the sentences immediately below them are their definitions. When written in HTML, these same definitions and terms would look something like this. This markup has three tags: DL, DT, and DD. The DL tag stands for the definition list tag and is the container for the whole definition list. The DT tag is the container for the term being defined, that are HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And the DD tag contains the definition. Let's code it down and view the result in the browser. First, we'll write the opening and closing DL tag as it's the container. Then inside the DL element, we'll write the element for first pair of definition, that is the DT element, and then the DD element. Then let's do a quick copy and paste for the other two definitions. And now let's write down the terms first: HTML, the second term is CSS, then JavaScript, and now let's write down the definition for each of these terms inside the DD tag. Now the definition for JavaScript. Okay, now save the document and let's view it in the browser. And we see the definition list. The list is indented such that it is clear what is the term and what is its definition. And needless to say, if you don't like the default styling, you can always change it using CSS. Now that we are done with the definition list, let's turn our attention towards the nested list. This is the list that contains another list or more than one lists inside of it. In the example that we are seeing right now, the main unordered list contains three elements: actors, actresses, and directors. And for each of these list items, there is a further unordered list that is inside these three list items. Let's see the HTML version of the same list and try to make some more sense of what is the nested list. This is the code for nested list. That at first sight seems a bit complicated, but if we pay a little more attention to the code, we'll find out that creating a nested list is as easy as creating any other list. Okay, let's analyze the code chunk by chunk. This is the opening and closing UL tag that we would write when creating any unordered list. And since this unordered list has three list items, we would write three li elements inside the container UL element. So far, everything about this list is completely familiar and is what we have been doing so far with the lists. Now comes the part that requires a little more attention. The list that contains three list items. For each of those list items, there are further three list items. And since these items are also a list, so to create these, we'll write a code that we would for creating an unordered list. I know it sounds a bit confusing, so let's make some even more sense out of it by coding it down. First, we'll create the unordered list that has 3 list elements. Inside the opening UL tag, we'll create 3 li elements for actors, actresses, and directors. And then inside the first list element, we'll create the unordered list for the list of actors. Similarly, inside the actresses list element, we'll create the unordered list for the list of actresses. And lastly, an unordered list inside the directors list item. Now let's fill in these list items with these great Hollywood artists. All of these are Oscar winners, by the way. Nicole Kidman, Jodie Foster, Sandra Bullock, and let's finish our list with the name of directors. Steven Spielberg the Great, Clint Eastwood. Let's remove this third list item because we have the name for just 2 directors. Now that our lists are complete, let's fill in the primary list items, that is, actors, actresses, and directors. Notice that these names are written just after the opening li tag of the outer list. Directors. Okay, now save it and load into the browser. And here we have the nested list. I think it's making more sense inside the browser since we can see that the outer list contains the 3 list elements, actor, actresses, and directors. And within each individual list item, there is an other unordered list. Okay, let's move on to the next video with the hope that you've understood the nested lists properly. Thanks for watching.